I trusted Natalie completely. 5 years together, and I believed we were building something real. Our apartment in Seattle, our weekend hikes, our late-night conversations about the future. I thought I knew her. Then one evening I came home early to surprise her. I froze outside our door when I heard her laughing on the phone. Her words cut through me like glass. He is so clueless. Rhett would never suspect a thing. In that moment, everything changed. I felt numb, then strangely calm. I knew exactly what I needed to do. Before I tell you how I made her life fall apart without saying a word, let me know where you are watching from, and hit that like and subscribe button if you have ever trusted someone who betrayed you. I met Natalie at my college friend Thomas's housewarming party. She stood out immediately with her infectious laugh and confident presence. She was telling a story about an embarrassing presentation mishap at her marketing job, and the whole room was captivated by her energy. When Thomas introduced us, we locked eyes, and something just clicked. Our first date was at Blue Note, a small jazz club downtown. We talked until closing time, and the staff had to politely ask us to leave. We discovered we both loved true crime documentaries, trying new restaurants, and hiking the trails around Seattle. Our conversations flowed effortlessly, jumping from childhood stories to career aspirations to philosophical debates about the best pizza toppings. By the end of that night, I felt like I had known her forever. We became inseparable quickly. Weekends were spent exploring hidden trails in the mountains or trying new brunch spots. Weeknights were for cooking together in my tiny apartment kitchen or binge-watching shows curled up on her couch. After 8 months, it seemed ridiculous to keep paying rent on 2 places when we spent every night together anyway. Moving in together after our first anniversary felt natural. I had a stable job as a software developer at a tech company, and Natalie was climbing the ranks at her marketing firm. We found a 2-bedroom apartment with a view of the city, filled it with a mix of our furniture, and started building a home. We talked about buying a house someday, maybe marriage when the timing was right. I thought we were on the same page about everything. For 4.5 years, our relationship was everything I wanted. Sure, we had disagreements like any couple, but we always communicated through them. We respected each other, supported each other through job changes and family issues, and grew together. At least that is what I thought. The subtle changes began after Natalie received a big promotion. She became the youngest senior account manager at her firm, which came with more responsibilities and longer hours. I was incredibly proud of her and did my best to support the transition, taking over more household chores and being understanding when she needed to work late. Then Jordan entered the picture, a new creative director who transferred from the New York office. Natalie mentioned him casually, at first talking about his innovative campaigns and industry connections. I thought nothing of it. I trusted her completely. But small things started changing. Natalie put a password on her phone for the first time. When I asked about it, she said it was for client confidentiality. Our Thursday night date, tradition, sacred for years, became regularly canceled due to work emergencies. When she was home, she seemed distant, always checking her phone and smiling at messages she would not share. The physical side of our relationship changed too. She started turning away when I tried to kiss her, claiming exhaustion or stress. When we did have intimate moments, they felt performative, like she was going through motions rather than connecting. Girls' nights out became more frequent, but unlike before, she would share no stories or photos afterward. When I asked how the evening went, her answers were vague and dismissive. Sometimes I would find receipts from restaurants we had never been to together, places across town far from where she said she would be. Whenever I tried to talk about these changes, she became instantly defensive, accusing me of not supporting her career or being controlling. These conversations always ended with me apologizing, even though I had only expressed concern about us growing apart. My best friend James noticed the change in my demeanor. During our weekly basketball game, he asked what was wrong. When I explained my concerns, he suggested maybe Natalie was planning something special, like a surprise trip or even a proposal. I wanted to believe him. I tried rekindling our connection. I surprised her with flowers, planned special dinners, suggested weekend getaways. Her responses were lukewarm at best. She would smile, say thank you, and then return to her phone or laptop. I felt like I was living with a stranger who looked like the woman I loved. I started noticing other oddities. Work trips that were suddenly extended. Late-night calls she would take in the bathroom with the shower running. Perfume I did not recognize lingering on her clothes, but I kept making excuses for her behavior. She was under pressure at work. She was tired. It was just a phase as she adjusted to her new position. Despite the growing evidence, I could not bring myself to believe she would betray me. We had built so much together. We had talked about forever, so I pushed down my suspicions and focused on being supportive, patient, and understanding. I was determined to trust her until I had concrete reason not to. The day everything changed started like any other Tuesday. I was supposed to be in Portland for a 2-day client meeting, but we finished the implementation early. I decided to surprise Natalie by coming home that evening instead of staying overnight as planned. I picked up her favorite takeout from the Thai place she loved and headed home excited to spend unexpected time together. As I approached our apartment door, I heard her laughing. Not her public laugh, but that uninhibited, genuine laugh I had not heard directed at me in months. My key was already in my hand, but something made me pause. Then I heard her words clearly through the door. "Red is so clueless. He would never suspect a thing. He actually believed I was working late with the team last night, while you and I were at the Overlook." Her voice dropped to a more intimate tone. "I told him I have that conference this weekend, so we will have the entire 3 days together. I already booked the cabin." My body went cold. I stood frozen, Thai food growing cold in my hands as she continued. "Jordan, you do not understand. He is so trusting, it is almost too easy. This morning he made me coffee before leaving for his trip and apologized for not being more understanding about my work hours." She laughed again. "Meanwhile, I was reading your texts under the table." She continued detailing their affair with a casualness that destroyed me. 7 months, meeting at hotels during lunch breaks, using work events as cover. All while I was at home, making excuses for her, blaming myself for being suspicious. "I need a bit more time to figure things out," she said. "Rhett is stable. The apartment is mostly paid by his salary. I am not ready to give that up yet, even though what we have is so much more exciting." I heard Jordan respond, though I could not make out his words. "Do not worry about Rhett," she replied. "He notices nothing. He is too busy trying to save a relationship that I checked out of months ago. It is almost sad how hard he tries." My hand started shaking. My chest felt hollow. The perfectly wrapped Thai food slipped from my fingers onto the hallway carpet. I should have been angry, should have burst through the door and confronted them. Instead, a strange calm washed over me. In that moment of perfect clarity, I knew exactly what I would do. I quietly picked up the food and left without making a sound. She never knew I had been there, never knew I had heard everything, never knew that our relationship had ended right there in that hallway while she laughed about betraying me. I drove aimlessly for hours, eventually finding myself at Kerry Park, the Overlook where I had first told Natalie I loved her. The city lights spread out below me, lives continuing in thousands of windows, while mine had just imploded. I sat in my car until sunrise, alternating between numbness and waves of pain that left me gasping for breath. I checked into a hotel downtown instead of going home. I could not face her, not yet. Not until I had processed what I had heard and decided what to do next. That night, lying in an impersonal hotel bed, I replayed 5 years of memories now tainted with doubt. Had she ever truly loved me? Were there signs I had missed from the beginning? Sleep never came. By morning, anger had replaced shock, but it was a cold, calculated anger. I would not give her the satisfaction of an emotional confrontation. I would not beg or plead or ask why. Instead, I would gather evidence, make my plan, and exit her life, as cleanly as if I had never been there. I called in sick to work, requesting the rest of the week off for a family emergency. In a way, it was true. I spent the first day combing through our finances. My suspicions were confirmed in black and white. Hotel charges on days she claimed to be working late. Expensive restaurant bills for places I had never been. Ubers to and from addresses I did not recognize. 2 tickets to a concert she told me was a client event. Next, I checked her tablet that she had forgotten to log out of. There, I found a secret messaging app with thousands of exchanges between her and Jordan going back 7 months. Photos I could never unsee. Plans made while lying next to me in bed. Disparaging comments about me, about my naivety, about how boring I had become. The messages revealed the affair had begun during a company retreat in Vancouver. They had been meeting during lunch breaks at a hotel near their office. The work trips that had been extended had never been work at all. The conference she was planning to attend this weekend was actually a romantic getaway with him to a cabin on Lake Washington. But the discovery that truly broke something in me was finding messages to our mutual friends. She had been slowly poisoning my relationships, telling small lies about me being controlling or negligent, setting the stage for when she eventually left, ensuring she would keep the friendships and I would be the villain. I consulted with my lawyer friend Sam, without giving specific details. I needed to know where I stood with our joint accounts, the lease, our shared possessions. I learned enough to make my plan. The final piece of evidence came when I found an email exchange between Natalie and her sister. "Jordan is everything Rhett is not," she had written. Exciting, ambitious, spontaneous. Rhett was fine for my 20s, but I need more now. I am just trying to figure out the right timing to end things without looking like the bad guy. 5 years reduced to fine for my 20s. 5 years of building a life, making memories, planning a future. All while she had one foot out the door waiting for someone better to come along. I gave myself 2 weeks to execute my exit strategy. I wanted to be thorough, calculated, and complete. No dramatic scenes, no revenge tactics, just a clean break that would leave her with the consequences of her choices. First, I secured a new apartment across town, paying extra for immediate availability. I opened a separate bank account and transferred my portion of our savings, leaving her share untouched. I created spreadsheets of our shared possessions, identifying what was exclusively mine versus jointly acquired. I changed passwords on all my accounts, removed myself from our shared streaming services, and updated my address on all official documents. I contacted our landlord and arranged to have my name removed from the lease. He was surprisingly understanding when I explained I needed to move out for personal reasons, though I spared him the details. I called trusted friends one by one, gauging where their loyalties might lie based on what Natalie had already told them. To my relief, most saw through her narrative. Thomas, Kelly, and Marcus agreed to help me move. I avoided telling anyone the full story, yet not wanting to create drama before I was safely extracted from the situation. Timing was crucial. Natalie was scheduled to leave Friday morning for her conference with Jordan. This gave me the perfect opportunity to move out while she was gone for 3 days. I arranged for a moving truck, recruited my friends, and took Thursday off work to pack my personal belongings. Before packing, I gathered all the evidence I had collected into a single folder. Bank statements, screenshots, photos, the email to her sister. I did not do this for drama or revenge, but simply as insurance if she tried to spin a different story later. Thursday night, Natalie kissed me goodbye, claiming she had to go to bed early for her early flight. As she slept, I sat in our living room, looking at the space we had shared, feeling nothing but hollow determination to reclaim my life and dignity. Friday morning, I left for work as usual. Natalie texted me a picture from the airport, which was actually taken days earlier based on the date showing on the departure board behind her. I replied with a simple, "Have a great trip," and waited for her to leave our apartment. Once my tracking app showed she was well on her way to the cabin with Jordan, I put my plan into action. Thomas arrived with his truck. Marcus and Kelly came with coffee and empty boxes. By noon, we had packed all of my unquestionably personal items: clothes, books, electronics, personal mementos. I left behind anything we had purchased together or that she had given me as gifts. I wanted no lingering connections. The last thing I placed in the apartment was the folder of evidence on the dining table. On top, I left a simple note: "I know everything. I deserve better. Goodbye." Next to it, I placed my key. As I did a final walkthrough of the apartment, memories flooded each space. Our first dinner party in the kitchen, movie nights on the couch, lazy Sunday mornings in the bedroom. For a moment, grief threatened to overwhelm me. Then I remembered her laugh as she described deceiving me, and my resolve hardened. I deleted all our shared social media photos, changed my relationship status to single, and walked out the door for the last time. The weight that had been crushing my chest for months immediately began to lift. Within hours, the panicked texts and calls started. First confused, why are there boxes missing from the closet? Then alarmed, Rhett, where is your stuff? Finally, after finding my note and evidence, please let me explain. It is not what it looks like. Call me back. Her messages escalated from explanations to accusations to pleading. I responded only once. The truth speaks for itself. Do not contact me again. Then I blocked her number, email, and all social media accounts. Through mutual friends, I learned the aftermath of my departure. Natalie cut her weekend short when she discovered I had left. Jordan had apparently been less enthusiastic about their relationship once he realized it could no longer be a consequence-free affair. He had assumed she would never actually leave me. The evidence I left revealed their workplace relationship, which violated company policy since Jordan was technically her superior. Human resources became involved. Natalie lost the promotion she had recently received. Jordan requested a transfer back to the New York office to escape the scandal, effectively ending their relationship. Unable to afford the apartment on her salary alone, Natalie was forced to find a smaller place in a less desirable neighborhood. Many of our mutual friends, now aware of the full story, distanced themselves from her. Her carefully crafted image as the perfect girlfriend shattered when people learned how she had betrayed not just me but their trust as well. I took no pleasure in her difficulties. I simply observed from a distance through occasional updates from friends as the natural consequences of her actions unfolded, without any further input from me. The life she had built with me, which she had taken for granted while seeking excitement elsewhere, collapsed without my presence to support it. My only act was absence. I removed myself completely from her life, leaving a void where my support, love, and stability had been. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. I had learned that silence could speak volumes. The first month in my new apartment was the hardest. Despite knowing I had made the right decision, grief ambushed me at unexpected moments. I would reach for my phone to text Natalie something funny, only to remember she was no longer in my life. I would wake up confused by the unfamiliar ceiling above me. I would cook too much food out of habit, forgetting I was now eating alone. Sleep became elusive. When I did manage to drift off, dreams of her betrayal would jolt me awake, heart racing, and sheets damp with sweat. I threw myself into work, taking on extra projects to fill my evenings and weekends. Physical exhaustion seemed the only path to rest. 2 weeks after moving out, I started therapy. My therapist helped me understand I was experiencing betrayal trauma, that my symptoms were normal responses to profound relationship deception. She gave me tools to manage the anxiety attacks and insomnia, and created space for me to express the anger I had been carefully containing. You handled the situation with remarkable self-control, she told me during our 4th session. But do not confuse control with processing. You still need to feel these emotions to move through them. Slowly, I reconnected with friends I had neglected during my relationship. James organized weekly basketball games that got me moving again. Thomas invited me to dinners where no one mentioned Natalie unless I brought her up first. My sister Kate called daily, sometimes just sitting in companionable silence on the phone when I could not find words. 3 months after leaving, I took a solo trip to Alaska, something I had always wanted to do but Natalie had never been interested in. Standing on a glacier surrounded by pristine wilderness, I felt the first genuine peace since discovering her betrayal. The problems that had consumed me seemed smaller against that vast landscape. When I returned, I adopted a rescue dog, a 3-year-old golden retriever mix named Baxter, who had been abandoned by his previous owners. There was something healing about caring for another being who had also been discarded. Baxter's enthusiastic greetings when I came home reminded me that I was still worthy of unconditional love. I started a journal, pouring out thoughts I could not share with even my closest friends. Pages filled with anger gradually gave way to reflection, then understanding, and finally acceptance. I was not responsible for Natalie's choices. I had been a good partner. I deserved better than what she had given me. The gym became my sanctuary. Every weighted rep, Every mile run felt like shedding another layer of pain. My body grew stronger as my mind gradually cleared. I rediscovered old passions I had set aside during my relationship. I picked up my guitar again. I joined a hiking group that explored trails every weekend. I volunteered teaching coding to underprivileged kids, finding purpose in their excitement when they created their first programs. 6 months after leaving Natalie, I received a promotion at work. The extra projects I had taken on had not gone unnoticed, and my manager cited my dedication and fresh ideas in his recommendation. The increased salary allowed me to move to a better apartment with a balcony overlooking the lake and room for Baxter to play. I heard through mutual friends that Natalie was struggling. After Jordan returned to New York, she had tried to reconcile with me through intermediaries, sending messages I never responded to. She had difficulty maintaining new relationships, her reputation in our social circle permanently damaged by how she had treated me. I felt no satisfaction in her struggles, but no sympathy either. Just a growing indifference that told me I was finally healing. Around the 8-month mark, I tentatively began dating again. Nothing serious, just coffee meetings and occasional dinners. I was upfront about my past, sharing enough to explain my caution, without burdening new connections with unnecessary details. Some prospects faded after a few dates. Others became friends, but none progressed to relationships. I was not ready, and I respected my own timeline for healing. On the 1-year anniversary of leaving Natalie, I had dinner with James. Over steaks at our favorite restaurant, we reflected on the previous year. "You are a different person now," he observed. "Stronger. More sure of yourself." "I learned to trust my instincts," I replied, "and my worth." The biggest lesson I had learned was about boundaries, about communicating expectations clearly and walking away when they were not met, about recognizing that love should never require sacrificing self-respect or tolerating deception. 2 days after that anniversary dinner, I received a lengthy email from Natalie. For the first time, she took full responsibility for her actions without excuses or blame shifting. She acknowledged the pain she had caused, the trust she had broken, and the consequences she had faced. She did not ask for reconciliation, only for forgiveness, so we could both find peace. I read the email twice, waiting for the emotional tidal wave to hit. Instead, I felt only a gentle sense of closure. I never responded. Some doors are better left closed. 14 months after leaving, I met Amanda at a charity run. Unlike the cautious coffee dates of previous months, our connection felt natural and unforced. When I eventually shared my experience with Natalie, Amanda's response was refreshingly straightforward. "That shows her character, not yours." We took things slowly, building a foundation of honesty and respect before commitment. I found myself able to trust again, not with blind faith as before, but with open eyes and clear boundaries. Looking back now, I realize my greatest revenge was not the consequences Natalie faced when I left. It was not her lost promotion or tarnished reputation. It was the personal growth her betrayal ultimately sparked in me. I became more authentic, more resilient, more capable of genuine connection. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do when someone hurts you is not to hurt them back, but to heal so completely that their actions lose all power over your happiness. By choosing to walk away quietly instead of engaging in drama, I gave myself the greatest gift: freedom to rebuild on my own terms. Have you ever had to walk away from someone you loved to preserve your dignity? I would love to hear your stories in the comments below. If this resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life experiences. Share this with someone who might need to hear that sometimes leaving quietly is the strongest response to betrayal. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember that your peace is always worth protecting. No relationship is worth sacrificing your self-respect.